21st, 2012. Alex, would you please give the blessing this evening?
All right.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank Thee that we are provided with services which our city affords us. Thank Thee for attending to our necessities, to our comforts, and to those things which we stand in need of, often which we are unaware. We know that as a people we're living in difficult times and we're passing through uncharted waters. We know also that we have the privilege of casting all our cares upon Thee, that You're able to carry us through all manner of difficulties and those things which would easily overwhelm us. So we ask, dear Heavenly Father, Thy blessing upon the discussions, upon the efforts to serve those who have elected our city council. We thank Thee, dear Heavenly Father, for the land in which we live and for the many who serve us. And this we ask in the name of Jesus our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Alex.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move citizens' comments. Carol does.
Thank you.
Top of the
Okay.
Hello.
How about we move all the citizen comments up to the top?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other additions or changes?
I'd like to add a 5-minute executive session under a police department for personnel.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to add, discuss the interest on the revolving loan.
Meeting or session. Or are you going to do that in executive session?
Any more additions?
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Caroline, would you like to come forward, please?
Thank you. Thank you for I'm here with, here's my role as Economic Development Director. There's an opportunity to apply for a grant through the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation that I think might be a good fit for Stafford County. It's a new program designed to eligible activities are to use funds for infrastructure to support housing development or the actual housing development itself, including acquisition of real property, new construction, modular or manufactured housing, and or rehabilitation of existing housing. What's kind of nice about this program, it is targeted at moderate income households, which a lot of housing programs are targeted at low income and have a lot of HUD restrictions put with them. This one's targeted at moderate income. So a family, the higher end of what this is targeted in, for example, a family of 4 making $81,000. So I think it encompasses a lot of the people that we have in our community. And it's, often cited that one of our barriers to growth is the idea that we have adequate housing for those who do move here. What I'm asking for, one of the criteria for evaluating these applications is evidence of community support. So I'd like to include letters of endorsement for the grant application from the municipalities in our county. I'm not asking for any kind of contribution of funds. If you'd like to consider maybe some type of in-kind contribution that would punctuate some kind of support for this, like being able to help with a utility hookup or something like that, that would be great. But the funds that I'm asking for through the grant, in addition to some funds available through economic development, would fund the construction in the project itself. So again, all I'm asking for is a letter of support to include with that application. What we're proposal with developing would do would build 2 multifamily or duplexes, and with the revenue that we would get from those duplexes, we could finance construction loans to build additional single-family homes throughout the county, sell them, when that's sold, repeat. So, again, it's a new program. It's not very big, and it's the amount of funding available is not real big considering the size of the state. It's expected to be pretty tough competition, but we're going to give it a shot. See what we come up with.
Oh, that's a good plan.
I drafted just a suggestion. It's not intended to be prescriptive at all, but sometimes it's easier to start when there's something suggested. So if you see fit, I would include that with our submission next week.
I would like to see us send a letter of support, and I didn't have any problems with the letter you drafted, unless anyone else does.
Like add, modify, whatever, and just trying to help
That was very well
initiate
stated.
thought or whatever. And if, like I said, if you didn't see fit to, like offer some type of in-kind, what we'll try to do is work within the city limit, or within, where the infrastructure already exists, for, not start outside where we have to build new streets and new infrastructure, but infill those vacant lots. So, significantly reduce the amount of investment needed to get a project going. But,
When would you need to know about? Like right away?
Well, I need to submit the application by the end of August, so before your next council meeting.
Councilwoman Phil, make a motion, or we're okay with the motion vote, or you might add something to that?
I don't have a problem with the way you've worded everything on here. I think it's fine. My only question is, you're building houses to bring families in here. How, okay, that's great, and I'm all for that. Where are they gonna work?
Well, it's kind of something I feel like needs to go hand in hand. We're working on some bigger projects. We've actually had some smaller things. In fact, one of the things that I've documented in this application is that this is the first time in 15 years that we have record of, and probably many more years before that, that all 3 school districts have, it's preliminary, but it looks like all 3 districts at this point have increased enrollment over last year, and that hasn't happened for a long time. So, we're in the process of doing a formal housing assessment. Unfortunately, I don't have it done, and this application became available, and I don't want to let it pass by, but, so some of my needs, my statement of need is a little bit anecdotal, but I pointed out probably 7 or 8 families that I was familiar with that have moved here in 2012 and had variations of how, they had trouble finding housing. And it's not like we have any one company that has that big visible expansion, but for example, we've worked with 4 different businesses in doing e-community projects they're expanding their business in some way. And we're seeing those that are adding 2 or 3. Stafford County Flour Mills has added a handful of people this year. And it's just, it's easy to point to. It's our one probably largest private employer in the county, but we're seeing seeing that incremental growth. It's, again, not huge, but it probably shows that we need to work with both hand in hand.
Okay.
And I will vouch, we do need housing because I get at least 2 or 3 calls every week looking for somewhere to live. That.
So, the hope is with this project we're submitting that we can address the rental and the owner-occupied need within the same project. I just hope they like it.
Does council want to add anything to this?
Looks fine to me.
I think it looks fine.
Any suggestions?
What do we typically do? As far as, you know, we have listed utility hookups and curb improvements. Is there anything else that,
If they're gonna build these houses or housing in an area that's already got the infrastructure there, chances are there's already a water meter on the lot, and electricity really isn't an issue, and chances are the sewer, they probably have to lay it in line, but the tap's already there, so really, unless it was someplace that wasn't already something like that, there's really no, other than a deposit to get utilities is required, so.
do you have any other suggestions?
Okay. Else, you know,
In the past,
Anything
if we
else?
had land available that we owned, we've given it to homeowners to build on.
I understood that you either don't have any at this time or there's one that's extremely narrow. Is that my current?
We don't have any right now,
Okay.
and there's, we don't have any that the city owns right now.
Okay. Whatever you feel like is
Okay,
fitting is fine.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I move to approve, I move to go ahead and send a letter Carolyn drafted in support of the grant application for the moderate income housing program.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those say no. Thanks, council. Okay, senior citizen. So Marcy, Marlene, are you here to speak on that?
Now, I might start out by just giving a few facts, just real short, briefly. We do want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to come and speak to you about some of our concerns at our community building, the Witt Community Center. Some of you, this may have started back in mid-70s, 74, 75. There was a St. John City Recreation Commission at that time. And a lot of those people were thinking of wanting a building that they could make into a multi-purpose center for use throughout the town and possibly a skating rink. So that's when Herman and Kate Witt came aboard. They knew that there was a definite need for something in town, and of course Herman was very interested in the senior citizens having a place to be and a regular place to meet. They had been meeting in a basement, they met in a church, they had met in the back of a furniture store, and they'd met in the American Legion building. So he said, well, I think that, if I get on board and help with this project, that we can make a place available for the community and also for the seniors. So he donated $95,000 to build a skating rink, remodel the whole building, and he had a stipulation that the St. John seniors will have full access to the West Room. And I have documentation stating that. They had a dedication of the building in February of 1981. There was a lot of people in the community, the Lions Club, the schools, the banks. They all gave furniture, they gave equipment to make the room accessible and usable. But in 1989, Kate Witt, I think Herman had already passed away at that time, she made possible a $50,000 CD, which she gave to the bank, gave to the city, I'm sorry. And the interest from that $50,000 was to be used for upkeep and maintenance of the building. And this is where we kind of come in and feel like the building is in very bad condition. Needs a lot of work done on it, and as far as we know, there hasn't been anything done for quite some time. So we have some issues that we would like to kind of present to the council, and I think you've got a list of them, and I understand you've been working on them today too. But I'll let one of the others.
I just have a quick question
Okay.
before we get started. Is this not something that, as repairs were needed, is it the city's responsibility to come and see if you have repairs, or is it something you see that needs done, and so you, like, if you needed carpet replaced, do you go get bids for carpet and then come and say, okay, here's our bids?
We shouldn't have to. The building belongs to the city. The building belongs to the city. And we are only responsible for the west room, which is the senior citizens room. So if we want, something done there personally, we pay for things there.
Oh,
Some
okay.
things, not everything. But if there's maintenance like on the sinks or something, we feel that that's part of the building, that may be the city's responsibility to work on that, or put new lights in, or such as that.
Okay.
But no, it's a city building, so. And if we see there is a need for something, I think someone usually tells the city
Okay.
that we would like to have the water faucet fixed, or if we've had furnace problems, we have to call on
Yeah.
someone, quite often for that.
Okay. I wasn't sure how that worked. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else like to speak on the what's there?
Well, I've been over there by being part of the seniors as their secretary, plus working for the Recreation Commission. And as long as I've been there, the ladies' toilet has run continually. And we've asked for it to be fixed over and over. They come over and they diddle with it. We need a new toilet in the ladies' restroom. It's very much needed. Kids use that place all the time. They don't turn and jiggle the handle like most of us adults have learned to do. But it's just, there's little things. As you've got your list, I didn't bring my list. The outside is atrocious. That represents our city. It's rented out for family use. The inside walls are filthy. I mean, there's handprints, and it's going to be that way because it's public. But it needs to be cleaned up everywhere. The carpet's in sad shape. I would love to see the carpet cleaned during the summer and not cleaned the week just before skating starts, and the first week we got stuff all over the floor again. I mean, I'm proud of the building. I like having people come in there, but it's just not pretty anymore. And I was at the 1981 dedication or whatever. It was a big deal to get that building. Most of you were around here then too.
Anybody else want to speak?
Adrian, you, the outside wall.
You don't speak.
Well, at least the last two times that the building's been painted, all that we got was a Band-Aid. And it didn't last very long. You cannot go up there and just spray on with a quick fast coat on that thing and expect it to stay there, expect it to look like it. If you'll just go over there and take a look at the south wall, the wood of it, the corners weren't even tacked on properly in the first place. They're ready to fall off. The wood is already nearly bare. If whoever would paint it would have to do a good job of a primer coat and then a top coat to make it look like anything. The outside of the building, if you walk up to the outside and look at those were the old, what we call silo blocks back in the older days, and there is reinforcing through them. But if you will look, that it has not been sealed for many, many years. And one of these winters, we're going to have a real wet winter and a real cold winter. And then we'll let those blocks in between those, or cracks in there, the moisture will work in between those. They'll freeze and they'll thaw, and they'll freeze and they'll thaw. And you'll have some of those blocks out of there on the ground. When you do that, the whole wall could collapse. I may be going to extremes in my thought, but I think if you'll ask a younger contractor that has experienced things that I have, they'll agree with me that the building is in very bad shape on the outside and needs to be, it'll take quite a bit of time. It'll take a whole lot of caulking, but it needs to be first primed, coated, then go in and it's in what we call Alex Plus. That's what we use, and seal all those cracks, all those up and down and crossways, and then put a good heavy coat of paint over the top of it, and it'll outlast a lot of you, right? Like I know it will outlast me. At that point in time, that's what I would say, that it is badly in need. And if you, again, all you'll have to do is go over there and walk around the building. I think you'll understand what I'm saying.
Thank you.
I think we had one other question on there, and that is, you know, the big thing everywhere you go, you hear about the utilities. Who pays the utilities? What account does that come out of on the building? Because everything that's in there, it's paid, but we don't know who does it or what account pays it.
John O'Loy.
The city actually takes care of the, we kind of absorb the electricity and water, sewer and trash. The gas and insurance and all the maintenance, all of that is paid out of the general fund. We actually tax for that. Our income so far this year for the WITS fund of the $50,000 is $350. So you really can't do much on that. Our total that is available for use, that's been accumulating over the several years because we haven't used much, is $14,000.
So there is some funds there
There is some.
for some minor fix-it-up.
There's not much as far as in the general fund. That's mostly each year's budget for your insurance and utilities and so forth. There is some building maintenance. Actually, you're over that now, where your building maintenance is like $1,200, and we're about $1,600 for the year.
Now that was what again?
On the building maintenance, like the
On the
air
budget?
conditioning, yeah.
Okay, but the 14,000
The 14 is in the
available.
WIT fund.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So, may I speak again?
Yes, Marlene.
So what are you using that interest in the WIT fund for?
It's accumulating.
You're not using it at all?
No, it's only $350 at this point this year, so I'm assuming it will be $700 at the end of the year.
It says it was 14,000 above the 50,000.
It's accumulated over the years. We have not
So
used
you
much of it.
can't use that 14,000?
No, we can, but we've chosen to do it out of the general fund to accumulate for whatever they would decide to use that for.
On the WIT Center.
On the WIT fund.
Okay.
Are you aware there is a contract? It was Kate Witt's wishes that the interest money from the certificate be used for the maintenance, painting, and general repair of the Witt Center.
Well, we could have used it and then you'd have nothing. I mean, they've been saving it so that it could be used.
Well, I guess as long as there's money in the general fund to do what we need done, like, you know, what we need to delve into.
Again, the general fund is just our day-to-day expenses to keep, you know, your utilities and insurance and so forth.
So if.
Because that wouldn't, the interest from the 50,000 wouldn't cover any of that. You know, it wouldn't cover
So
even the insurance.
Is there anything particular that you're saving that for, thinking maybe you might need to use it?
We'll have to ask them.
Yeah, if you're ready for a $14,000 improvement, that money is there.
Yep.
You get 2 bids, or we can have Mel, or whoever's in charge.
I guess I just always thought that if you needed something, you came to the city to ask. I didn't know how this worked, but years ago, I thought, ugh, the carpet needs replaced. The carpet on the walls is, on the skating rink is so nasty, and there's just a lot that could be done, but I didn't know
Well, that's
how
not,
that was handled.
that's not for the seniors to ask for that, because we don't have anything to do with that, and neither does the rec commission. They don't sponsor the skating activities. That's all a city.
does.
Yeah.
That's a city
Okay.
thing. So,
And they do clean the carpets once a year, and they actually had the carpets on the walls cleaned. It did not do much at all. I mean, they spent a lot of money on it, and it didn't do much. It's just
It's nasty.
stained.
It's
too bad.
years. I mean, it's probably been
Sure.
there since '81.
Yeah, it's shag.
Well, maybe we could go in there and look, get someone to go in there and look, and maybe take some of that carpet out a little bit at a time and put something else. Is there something rubbery that we could put up there? You know what I mean? Or foam, or,
Indoor, outdoor works really great.
there you go.
It does. It's smooth. But it's more what the building needs is more than 14,000. I know that.
Correct.
But it needs to be taken care of for all 3 entities that's in
Is there-
Now, I don't know if that 14,000 is strictly for the seniors or if it's for the whole building.
For the whole
I think it's for the whole building.
For the whole bit.
So it's unfortunate that interest rates went down so much.
Well, yeah, we realize
so we
that
don't
too.
get too much out of that.
But, we felt like it was accumulating, but yet nothing had been put. We were waiting also, if utilities and things did come out of that fund. We didn't have it. Because if there's any way that, we can conserve on water or whatever, we'll do our best to do that.
You can't conserve on water for fuel run all the time.
No.
Well, I might also mention this, you may be aware of it, maybe some of you aren't. In the same form here, upon the expiration of the 50 years, are you aware there is an expiration on the $50,000?
I was not aware.
And it expires and goes
It
where?
expires at 20 to 39.
And goes where?
Reverts back to the city for their discretion. It's documented right here. I've got it.
But we could renew that with you, couldn't we?
Well, yeah, but I just didn't know whether you were aware of that.
John, don't we renew that every 2 years? Is that what you said, every 2 or 3 years?
That's just the CD.
That's just a CD?
Yeah.
Okay, so this right here?
Because we just have it as a 2-year CD.
Okay.
Yeah. So do we have a maintenance schedule or something for the wet
The
center?
way it works in there, they're right, they'll call over in that school, we'll go over there and, I don't know if you said deal with it, but works fine for a while. We did replace the one in the men's bathroom the other day, and we put a new A-coil on the air conditioner, had that done. And we weren't aware of the lights over there. Steve kind of keeps us informed on some of the lights. We weren't aware of this, and so I sent the guys over to work on the lights today. And they bring, tell us if something needs to be done. We may not get it that day, but we try and get it addressed, so.
So I guess we need to.
I don't want to contradict Mel, but the toilet did not work today. It was still running. And
And the
we've asked for
men's-
3 years to have it
And I'm talking about
replaced.
the men's is where we,
Okay, but the woman's is still running
yeah, the
and it
men's,
needs to be
we had a new,
replaced.
because it was running the other day, we had a new valve put on that, so.
Okay, so we need a new toilet
Well,
in
we
the.
need valve.
And I think, once again, this takes us to the skating thing, and I realize this must have been discussed in the office because my visit in here to pick up the keys to the bus was not very friendly today. But anyway, the lack of supervision for children, I wasn't against anybody. I am concerned the kids get out of school at 3:20, no one is over there until 3:45, and children are children. If I didn't step out of the rec office and play Granny Meanie, the place would be torn apart. I'm sorry, we've all had kids in there. There's not just rec equipment in there, there's your aerobics, everything else. And they're just all over it, beating things out, throwing, tearing, the whole thing. And I think you need more than one person. Vicki does a heck of a job, one person in there. I don't know how she does it all, but more than one needs to be in there. That's just the way it is.
I think sometimes our parents in our community take advantage of some things.
It's free babysitting.
That's exactly right,
Yeah.
Sandy. And so, I don't know where the fine line is there. It's not really our responsibility. Is the building open? So obviously the skating building is open. So,
Does it need to be at that time? Can Vicki just open it when she gets there?
well,
I mean, your
with the s-
contract reads to be there at 3:45.
right, but with the city, or with the senior
It's open
citizens
for
in
the
there.
seniors and for the rec. I mean, it's
Yeah.
an open building.
Right.
It is a situation. Sandra, same thing happened because they
Right.
come in right at, and if the contract starts at 3:45, I don't blame you for not getting there till 3:45. But it needs to have, I started stepping out of the office to oversee the kids. Basically, I had an interest. I had 2 granddaughters there that I did not run over. But when I started having them line up, and the kids will get, they're great. But maybe
Okay.
a contract or whoever does it needs to start before maybe 3:15. I don't know. But to be there before school's out.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll check into that.
Okay,
definitely.
I'd appreciate it. I
Yes.
mean, because there's a lot of days, sometimes I'm not there.
Right. Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Is there something that you guys would particularly want to do with that 14,000? I mean, if it is your money, so to speak?
What is priority for you?
I mean, yeah, what's priority for you guys, or what do you think?
Besides the women's bathroom?
If the
The
general
outside
fund is
wall.
lacking.
I think just the outside wall, if you look at the front of it, come over and look at the front of it, those columns are terrible. They're falling apart. It's an eyesore. It's an eyesore.
Yes, ma'am.
It's to the point that I would like to see, of course, the money's the main issue. If something more permanent would be to put up rather than just the siding and the wood around the columns, you either put a vinyl or a metal or something that is going to be more substantial than what's over there now. Because,
I don't think if you went vinyl, the kids would really tear it up.
I mean, you could, I mean, if it wasn't
On the outside.
secured,
Yeah.
as far as on that, where it says, the Wick Community Center, that's in really bad shape. It was in bad shape when we had it painted last time. It just needs to be something else put up. But, I mean, you're just gonna put paint over something that is not very good. It's been bad for many years, and like I say, last time we painted it, wasn't that great anyway. But contractor here in town did the last paint job on it, so, and that was back, I think when we did the Main Street deal in, was that 2001 or 2, something, maybe something like that.
Would you like
Let's
for us
do.
to form a committee and have one or two of you guys, or 3, and maybe one council member be on the committee, and then you just do your wish list? What's first?
Well, we kind of gave you a wish list, I think.
Yeah, that's true, you did. You did.
I
I
mean,
guess
that's
you
the things that have come to our attention.
did. Okay.
I think right off the bat, we ought to just get 2 new toilets and get the toilet problem fixed. Right now.
Well, they put one in the men.
Well, let's do the
so
women's.
Let's do the women's, exactly.
Get a new
Definitely
toilet,
get that.
get whatever they need to fix the bathroom,
Okay.
and we'll take it one step at a time.
And I think it would be good to, these microphones are driving me crazy. They buzz. I think it'd be good to get a maintenance schedule, that if we could sit down with Mel or Jonna and look at the financials, no? And, let's really see what we can do. I'd love to see the front of that building bricked or some new signage put on it. But then I've heard you just need a new building altogether, but I don't know where you get the money to do that, So if we could really work on repairing what's there, I agree. I think it really needs some upkeep, and So I would like to see some kind of long-term schedule laid out for the repairs, so we can chip away at them in a pretty good time frame, maybe.
Maybe the next upcoming council meeting, maybe we can all walk over and take a look at it.
I think that would be a good idea, if you just all come over and just look at some of the things
Okay.
that are going on. I know the rec commission has their budget, they're kind of self-supporting, and the seniors rely on mill levy money, that is one mill levy for the county. So we do get tax money coming in to support our, activities and things like that, and pay our director. So, it's not that we're broke and that we need your help,
Right, right.
but it's just because it's your building. It's your building, it's a community building. And I think it could be improved.
Madam Mayor, yes. May I suggest that, we have several projects as well as this, that we've talked about doing a long-range plan and doing some scheduling for those different things. Maybe we could include that in with all the other things as well. I mean, I think it's good that you go over and look at everything, but we can add that into that comprehensive plan.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for showing that. I appreciate it.
Are we gonna go ahead and fix the bathroom?
Yes.
Thank you.
Save you some money right there.
We have to make a motion or anything this other month or anything else we want.
When they've got a full plan, so we can stuff and we have things and stuff, that's the one.
But we could either go in.
No.
That shouldn't be on.
No, I just didn't know if we need to go ahead.
Want to hear that? You're welcome. Yep. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, Trish, you on citizen comment?
Yes.
Okay.
Couple of things.
It doesn't matter whether we trust you.
I just assumed everybody knew that study. I had Kevin didn't know this one. But I had an opportunity to go to visit with him today, and he specifically wanted to give a message that he's fine, that he hasn't ignored anybody, he doesn't have his cell phone with him, that's why he hasn't called anybody. Really, really. He just really wanted to make sure that everybody knew that he was there.
How long?
Just to recap on the hot summer nights, thank you all very much. It was real successful, and it was a lot of fun. People that really believe in it, and it just really does.
Whoever it is,
I know some of the code of procedures was not on here. I know that last meeting, you guys tabled it because there was questions on if that was approved or not.
And it was, so
Was?
everything's, that's why we had the tablet out and everything
Okay.
here today, so. That was my, I missed it.
Okay.
Is there
Thank you.
any comments or anything, Trish? Okay. Thank you, Trish.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else on the citizen comments? Okay, consent agenda, Donna?
To approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 7th, 2012, approve appropriation ordinance 0821-2012 in the amount of $24,123.95. To approve ordinance 1013, standard traffic ordinances, and ordinance 1014 for the Uniform Public Defense Code.
And those ordinances is what we do every year.
Yes, that's
Yearly thing.
for police department. And
I'm going to approve the consent agenda.
Yes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. council. Okay, fire department, Michael's not here this evening. Police department, Adam?
I just have on the agenda again the request to purchase tasers as well as curfew.
Do you have a chance to look over this one?
Yeah, tasers is fine, and I think I sent an orders to you for curfew, didn't I?
No, we didn't get it.
The taser policy was fine, and I thought I drafted a ordinance for the
Curfew.
curfew that I've been having trouble with her in my email, so.
Try to send it again and I can make copies
Yeah.
while we're going to something else.
Okay. So, council, what do you feel about tasers?
I discussed it with other officers around, and they seem to think it would be appropriate to have two of them. Think that would work? You buy two?
It's a start.
You thinking to put them in each vehicle, and let them stay in the vehicle when it's needed?
Well, no, they don't stay in the vehicle when we're on patrol. They're carried on us. They're only in the vehicle
Right.
when we're off and somebody else is going to come on and use that patrol vehicle.
But it stays in the car.
When we're off duty, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's on them when they're on duty.
Right. We're on the same page, just
So we want to buy 2 and not 3 for each officer?
be one for each vehicle.
Two total.
Two total.
Talking to a couple of the other sheriff's officers, I mean, some of them have had them for how many years? How long
Sheriff's officers had them for at least 3.
Yeah, I mean,
Stafford's had them for 3.
They've all had them.
has Stafford ever used theirs?
What's the legality done on the pacemaker?
Well, I mean, you're always, they've got in their policy, if you read it, they have to be sure that the person doesn't pose a medical risk, and that's one of the things the officer has to be trained on. If they think that the person has a medical risk, then they're not to use it on them. Same way with a pregnant woman or whatever, if you read the policy, I mean, there are certain things that the officer was to observe and make sure that, typically when you have these things, it's somebody that's, the ones in Stafford that had to use it on somebody that's been high on some kind of drug, and that they become totally uncooperative, and you have to do something to get them under control. So, I mean, that's where they've been used before, and that's typically where you have the issues. But generally, people are going to cooperate. When they don't, you become belligerent, you got to do something that's less than deadly force. So the officer has a lot of things he has to do. Under the policy, if you read the policy in detail, the officer has to make sure a lot of medical conditions that they go through kind of a mental checklist before they engage with the taser.
It's essentially no different than our policy for any other of our uses of force. Obviously, if we have somebody standing on top of a building who's saying they're going to jump off, we're not going to pepper spray them, because then if they happen to fall off, then we have obviously the liability. The same thing, we're not going to tase them. We've never, to my knowledge, since I've been here, had a use of force complaint. We have very competent officers that know our policies, know the use of force continuum, and know when we can use the tools. So just like anything, there is liabilities. There's liabilities with any use of force. So I mean, I understand the hang up on the liabilities, but we have, like I said, we have a good track record. We haven't had anybody question use of forces in the past, and we've had to pepper spray somebody or something like that. And in that regard, if you compare a taser to the pepper spray, it's more incapacitating. And plus, if we go into a house with domestic violence situation with children, if we have to use pepper spray, then we contaminate the entire house. The house has to be clean. You run the risk of kids, being contaminated with it, not to mention the officer. And there's safety issues with that because it affects us just like it does the bad guy, just not to the degree because it's not directly in our face. So there's a lot of reasons why the taser is a very practical and useful tool.
I guess I would like to go ahead and, I don't see why they shouldn't have them. Is this your bid?
That was the most recent throw together thing I could get from, and it should match the. That was a way for.
You wanted 2.
No, I wanted 4.
You wanted 4. Okay.
Right.
Because I wasn't here when you originally presented it, but I'm not sure
the
I
reason,
know what I'm looking at. That's why I'm.
Okay. The reason I would rather have 4 is because other agencies that have used the method of just leaving it in a patrol vehicle, it gets banged around. It's loose in there. It's an electronic piece of equipment. So you have it in a hot vehicle, a cold vehicle, temperature changes, all that kind of thing. I mean, it's the same thing. We don't put our gun in a vehicle for the next officer to come in and put in his belt and use. They're the same thing with pepper spray. We don't share pepper spray. We don't share batons. The money's in the budget for 4. I would like to have 4. However, if you're only going to give me 2, obviously I'm not going to say no.
I'll say we have some money on the division fund, I think, I don't know how much.
We've been whittling away at it.
Yeah. Because you wanted to buy the cameras.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Well, I didn't know, if we bought the cameras, then that's probably,
Yeah.
okay.
I'd be in favor of buying 2, but not 4.
Second that motion.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion to buy 2 tasers, 1 for each vehicle.
Any more discussion?
Yes. Okay. So we have 3 officers, right? So I guess I'm kind of under. I guess I kind of think the way Adam's thinking, in that they don't leave their pistols behind for the next guy to use. I mean, and now that we've announced it to the entire town that they're going to leave the taser in the car when they're not on duty or whatever, I don't really think anyone else should get a hold of the taser. I mean, it's not something you want to leave in a vehicle.
They don't leave their
They don't leave them in the vehicle while they're on duty.
Okay, but if we have 3 officers, why don't we do 3? If they carried it on themselves.
If they get in a situation like that, I'm sure there's going to be other officers there. I mean,
Our average backup time is 10 minutes.
I guess I'd rather get tased than shot. If I were a meth head. Which I'm not, but I don't know.
But that's another thing. We're not, I've repeated this before. A taser does not replace the level of force of shooting somebody. If somebody displays lethal force to us, we're trained to use lethal force. So this isn't going to be a situation where if somebody comes after us with a knife, they're going to get tased. It's not the way. That's not the way it works. Knife is lethal force. So that
I'm not laughing at that.
I'm just saying I've heard that comment a lot around town. Is it's a lot better than being shot. A taser does not replace lethal force whatsoever.
Adam, the X26 versus the X2, what's the difference between the two? Is one of them?
The X2 it's basically a semi-automatic. The X26 has 1 cartridge in the end. If you fire that cartridge and for some reason you don't get a good aim, they have thick clothing on, whatever, it doesn't work, you have to physically eject that cartridge like you would a magazine and a pistol and put another one on. The X2 has 2 cartridges in it. It's semi-automatic. The other thing about it is it's basically a warning. It has a passive warning on it to where the X26, if you pull the trigger, that the barbs are going to come out. The X2 has another button on it that you can basically tell the person You can activate it. It shocks. They see the shock. If you don't comply, you're going to get tased. It's basically psychological. I think you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Deterrent. Yeah.
Try to deter them from doing anything.
What's that?
What's the maintenance on them?
The maintenance is it's all covered. If the warranty is purchased with them, it's all covered under Taser, depending on your warranty. You do just like a weapon. We can send somebody to training to become a Taser armorer, and that can work on them.
But they don't take much maintenance.
No, it's just basically you spark test it every day. You take it out, and it's got a battery meter on the back. You read the battery meter, you spark test it to make sure it's working, and that's all they recommend.
Okay. Bobby made a motion. By 2. Kevin seconded. Any more discussion?
I guess I need to know which one.
Which one? Bobby, you want to do the X26 or the X2?
Which would you rather have?
The X2.
Well, I tell you what, I would rather have the X2, but we can buy 3 X26s for probably what we could buy 2 of the X2s. So if you're going to tell me you're going to give every officer one, I'm happy with the X26. That's what I was tased with and it works, so I'm confident in that. And the X26 is what all the other agencies in the county carry as well.
Bobby, which one would you like? With your motion? Or do you want to change your motion?
We'll withdraw it and start over.
You said the X26 with the county guys here.
Well, I'll read the motion the same, buy 2 X226s, carrying one in each vehicle.
Second that, Kevin?
Yes.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no.
No.
I'd like to make a motion to purchase 3 X26s.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
No.
Wait a minute.
I voted against no on both
On
of them.
both.
I don't have to vote yes for anything.
On the curfew that you proposed,
but-
you done with that?
No,
I don't think so.
no.
No.
He's only come to us for the last 2 meetings wanting this. They have it in their budget.
I don't think there's a problem with getting 3 of them. I mean, considering that we ask these officers to go out and do the job that they do. If they're going to go out there and they're going to handle a citizen in this community, I'd rather them use passive force than lethal force on them. Because if this taser doesn't work, lethal force is what's going to have to be used. I'd rather them try and do with this non-lethal than with lethal force. Because it could be your neighbor, it could be your best friend, it could be somebody you know. And we don't want that on our conscience. So I'd like to see them get 3 of them.
We could buy the third one out of the diversion fund.
Whatever works.
I move that we buy 2 X26 tasers with a 3rd taser out of the diversion fund.
Second.
Any more discussion?
I personally think you have 1 cop on duty, and you have 2 tasers, I don't see a problem.
I don't either.
I don't know where you're spending the extra $900.
Well, we have 3 officers.
What if you were the police officer on duty and you didn't have that, and somebody was coming at you, and you knew that person?
But I don't think that's gonna be an issue.
You have two of them and one cop on duty.
Yeah, one cop on duty at a time. Adam probably runs around during the day a little bit and helps out, but there's two.
You can't be in two places at the same time, especially if he's far away. I mean, I don't know. I just don't.
I don't
see the
ever see
issue.
3 policemen on duty at one time.
No, but when the proverbial stuff hits the fan, we come out and work. Which, if you've noticed in the past year and a half, 2 years, we've had several incidences arise that we've never had happen that people said aren't ever going to happen in St. John, and they did. Times are changing.
This is the best of both worlds right here. You're getting the two that you wanted to get to pay for out of the budget, and then one out of the diversion. You don't see the problem.
Okay, there's a motion on the table, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
So what are we gonna do?
What did Kevin, what did you say down?
Okay, so if we purchase two and they feel they need a third, are we gonna allow that later on down the road?
Maybe after 2015.
I just think liability is too high.
It's a common use. I mean, why would we let them carry around guns? If the liability on a taser is too high. I mean,
So I think it's a huge step forward. We should have bought them too.
alright, so let's give him two. And then we'll revisit it in 6 months if they feel they need a third. If that's all you're gonna give. So if I make a motion for two X26s, are we gonna do it? Are you guys gonna agree to that?
Well, it was pretty close. Well, it was, the first vote was 3-2. I don't know how it's gonna go.
Wow.
You're the ones that voted no.
I move we purchase two X26s at this time and revisit in 6 months.
Second.
Any more discussion?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
That was a tie. And Kevin Davis can be used as taser practice.
Change this vote. Aren't you mad at him?
Motion carried.
On the
Yes,
curfew,
Mike.
on the curfew, I did draft it, I haven't sent it, I did have a question on it though. The Ellenwood curfew had an age of 18, the Stafford one had an age of 16. At what point do you want to start telling your kids to go home with their juniors or seniors? Do you want to stay with an 18-year-old curfew or do you want to stay with a 16-year-old curfew?
Work it up both ways, I guess.
I'll leave it blank and you can fill in the blank.
Whose idea was the curfew?
Someone brought it to council table.
They brought it to Adam.
Yeah,
and
did we have an issue?
Yeah, after the stuff at the swimming pool
Oh,
and that kind of thing, then it was brought to me and asked to, because a lot of people thought we had one already.
Right, and you proved that that was a juvenile?
Can I prove that it was?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, I thought maybe you did. That's why you were after the curfew.
Well, I guess
No, I wasn't. I was coming on, like I said, I had people bringing it to me, and I agreed. I didn't think it was a bad idea.
I guess if you're gonna do a curfew, I guess I think it should be implemented for kids younger than 18, because at 18, once you're a legal adult, I mean, you can just kinda
Right.
Vote.
Okay, I want some direction.
My daughter just turned 18. She can now buy cigarettes and lottery tickets.
Good for her.
I know. That's what we reward them with. And we wonder why they're crazy.
And she can go in and enlist in the service and go fight for the country, but he's not here.
Okay, so you wanna wait till Don gets that in front of you?
He'll be next, I'll have it next time. I've got it drafted, I didn't have the age on it, so if I'm gonna take him, I'll just ship it to her and we'll get it for next meeting.
16.
16. 16.
Oh, you wanted 16?
Yes.
Someone, you just said 18.
No, I
Oh,
said 16,
16,
because an
okay,
18
all right.
you're a legal adult, which
Okay, all right,
I don't
16.
know if you can.
All right, it'll be 16.
Okay. Alrighty, Mark, you wanted a 5-minute?
Yeah, 5-minute executive session for personnel to include council, mayor, Don.
Okay.
Just them, I'll say, you know, looking to do that.
It's only 5 minutes.
5 minutes probably be quicker.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no.
Results of the bid tabulation for the bids on the water contract.
You want it?
This is, and I don't know if you sent this out in the package, the bid tab for both parts. Okay.
No.
This is the bid tab for part one, the water line. I'll just pass it around and everybody can take one. And then the next that I have is the bid tab for part two, the water treatment plant.
Okay.
I've got one, so I don't know if anybody else. The low bidder for parts 1 and 2 was APAC out of Hutchinson. They've done a lot of work for us. They are just finishing 2 nitrate removal plants for us up by Stockton. They are also building a nitrate removal plant in Greensburg. So they have experience. They do water lines all over the country. They're experienced contractors. Our bids were, well, I felt very good. I've made up a kind of this is where we are with respect to our budget. We are approximately $200,000 under what we have money for, what we have approved already. You want to pass those on around? The total, depending on which, we have 2 different options on water storage tanks, different kinds of tanks. Depending on which tank you would take, the total was within about $15,000 of what my estimate for the job was, which out of 2.2 million, I felt like I got pretty close. So, and with you, when you add the contingency, and like I said, we have a little over 200,000. If you look on the page in the line that's underlined in the middle, depending on if you take the glass lined tank, you have $192,795 under the amount that you have, and take the other tank, you have almost 206,000 under. Like I say, APAC is a good contractor. I've worked with them a lot. I have no problem with them. They'll do us a good job. So my recommendation would be that you would accept the bids for APAC for parts 1 and 2, and then on part 2, we can talk about whether you would want the glass line tank or the powder coated tank. Do you have any questions?
These are the only 5 companies that bid?
There was 5 bids on each part of the project, correct?
Yes.
What, Van Kirk Brothers, their total down there is highlighted for some reason.
That meant they had a mistake in their multiplication. And when we opened bids, I said, I'll bet somebody has a mistake, because almost every bid opening we have, there is a mistake in there someplace. And this didn't affect the outcome. I've had it change who the low bidder was when you correct it. But that's why they're highlighted.
When did all the bids get open?
Last Thursday.
What would your recommendation be on as far as tank, with a glass line tank last longer than a powder coated tank?
A glass line tank, in my opinion, will last longer than a powder coated tank. If Mel and I went to Goddard, they were just building a new glass line tank there. I put up one a couple of years ago up by Stockton. Do you remember the old Harvest Store silos that used to be around the country everywhere? When people stopped buying silos, they figured out they had to do something different, and so they changed the way their business plan was and went to an aqua store, and they started making water storage tanks. This is the same tank as the old Harvest Store silos, and if you don't tell them you want a different color, you're going to get the blue like the old Harvest Store silo was. There's a lot of those that have been around the country a long time, and they've had good luck with them. They're brittle. You know, if somebody whacks it with a hammer, the glass coating will break. But you know, that shouldn't happen here. It's going to be fenced in. And so, but I think for the longevity, I would recommend the harvest or the glass lined tank. I know it's about what, $9,000 more, but $14,000 more. For the long run, I think that it's worth the difference in price.
And that's an 80,000 gallon tank?
Yes. Yeah. Now, what we get may not be exactly 80,000 because they're allowed to furnish their standard size tank that is at least 80,000 or larger. And I haven't looked to see what their standard size tank will be.
Not less than.
But yeah, right, not less than.
Basically, is the bid on part number 2, is it just basically parts, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's the total that you go by.
But it's basically the parts.
Yes, yeah.
So is there any one reason why we can't buy, if we do this, why you can't buy something at one place and something at another?
Yes, that's not the way it was bid. It was bid as the total dollar value at the bottom line. And if you start trying to piece it out, everybody will walk. And that was just not the way it was bid. It was bid based on the total base bid is what you go off of. And one of the reasons, and I understand kind of where you're coming from that. And if you look at some of the numbers, you're going to say those are goofy. Now, why has one guy got $15 a foot for a piece of pipe and the other guy's got $40? What they do is contractors know that base bid, the bottom line, is what you're awarded off of. And so they move money around from one part to another part. In that way, when the next job bids, the competitor can't say, oh, I know what that guy's going to bid, so I'll bid under him. If you'll look, there'll be things on here that they've all switched around, and if they think that, like say pipe, if they think, oh, I think St. John has another job that they're gonna add on, they may take money out of something else and put it in the pipe so that when you add it on, they make a little bit extra. They play all kinds of games with the numbers, so that's why you can't pull from one part and take another. It's the total base bid number that you have to go off of.
Besides the obvious meaning on your item 35, traffic control for $5,048, what is that? Can you explain that to me?
They have to, when they're working in the streets, they have to put barricades up around.
Okay, that's what
They
I
have,
was wondering about that.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we have a section in our specification that says, this is what you have to do so that nobody gets in, drives off into the hole.
Guess I'm missing something. Where's the other million at for your 3.1 or your 2.9 or whatever you're coming up with?
Okay, there's 511,000 of it is,
Never mind.
okay. Yeah, this is kind of a summary of everything here.
The last line, Dawn, says total city share of project cost, other than the wells.
Okay.
You have additional costs there.
Well, no, this is, well, yes, at this point in time, yes, the wells are not in these numbers down here. And that's because we haven't bid on them. Well, no.
You have them up there.
No, they are there, that's based on our estimate. Okay, that's not based on the actual cost. Yeah.
So that could change a little.
Yes, that can change a little bit. Yes.
So this first column though, that's what you actually.
That's what was, yes, that's what I
projected.
predicted a year ago.
And what are actually is the other two columns over here, depending on which line you need to take.
Yes, depending on which one of the tanks you would take.
So our next step is to, should we discuss it, and decide on a bid later, or?
The next step is to sign, to vote to accept the bid and then sign the notice of award. Now, Lane Christensen, if you remember, we asked them to put their bid on hold, and I've talked to them, and they have agreed that they will still honor their bid from 2 or 3 months ago,
Yeah,
whatever it was.
3 months ago.
Yeah, they're not going to add to it. So these numbers here will be,
Solid numbers.
yes. Now, I will tell you up front, there will be changes because there's things out there that we don't know about. I'm doing the job in Anthony right now, and we thought we knew what the pipe was, and when we dug it up, it wasn't anything close. Now, you know, that's just the way it is. I don't anticipate big changes, but I don't want you to to go into this thinking that, wow, our final dollar is going to be absolutely that, because I do want you to know that things happen.
And find things under there that you didn't know was there.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I think now that we have some good hard figures, that we need to tell the public and have a meeting.
I agree.
How long do we have to award the contract?
And I didn't bring this back with me. It's either 30 days or 60 days. Now, the problem we run into right now, the price of PVC pipe it follows the price of fuel, and it's going up. Contractors really are struggling to hold their prices for that length of time. Now, I'm not going to tell you that 30 days from now it's going to be up. It may be the same. It just depends on what the price of, the equipment does.
What is it you're wanting to tell the public? That it
I
came
think they
in?
need to know these figures. There's the one paying it.
But they know the figures. They
No,
know.
they don't. They know estimates. They've been told what it possibly could cost. They don't know what the actual cost was.
That it came in under what we told them.
I don't care. People still need to be able to hear that. It's their
Regardless
money.
of what the price is, but they still need to know. They have a right to know.
Yeah. I mean, we're 5 people speaking for the whole town. I'd like to hear them.
You did hear them.
Well,
Hear them
Only
again.
that's the way it's going to be.
You're gonna get the same people
Doesn't matter.
for the same reason.
Doesn't matter. They have the right to speak, and that's what we're going to do.
Can I ask you, what are you going to do if somebody doesn't like it? This is about the safety of the drinking water for the people of St. John. It's not about what you want. It's not about what I want. It's about the safety of drinking water.
But the people of St. John have to pay for it.
If someone that you love gets cancer and dies because of the high nitrates in water, because you delayed it, are you going to feel good? That's what this is
Doesn't matter.
about.
They need to hear it.
I don't care what you do. If you want
I
to
mean,
have
personally, I think this, once we get the figures, you can do a voting deal or a poll and find out what the
We
people
don't have
want.
time to do that.
That's
You
an
can do that
election, you have,
anytime.
no,
You have to do an
cannot.
election
It
to
costs-
put it on. No.
It costs money to do that.
Troy, we have these bids.
Go
They're
home and
good.
talk to me. It can be done.
Listen to what I'm
Anytime.
saying. We have to pay. That's more money for us to pay to put on an election. These are bids that we have paid to get. We only have a certain amount of time to accept the bid. Now, I'm not saying we can't have a meeting, but you need to do it in a week or a 2 week.
I don't care when you do the meeting. You can do it tomorrow night.
You have to give enough notice for the public to
Well,
be there.
I agree. But I don't
It
think
can't- at
that it's
this
right
point-
for us to go out and spend $3.1 million of the citizens' money without them knowing and having a say in it.
Well, actually, we have a loan forgiveness for part of that, so.
They know that too.
They're
They
still
need
gonna
to
have
know all
to
the
pay.
facts and they can make
All
their,
right.
they can make the
But what
call.
I'm saying is that we have a professional duty to follow,
We have a
the-
professional duty to the citizens.
but we
Number
also are
one.
in a contract with EDH and we have
And
to
we have
follow that.
dishonored them.
You know, I don't really know.
But you 5 were elected to make good choices for the citizens of St. John.
That's right.
If you take every item on your agenda and let the citizens of St. John vote on that, then why are you 5 people sitting here?
I think for $3.1 million worth of money, they need to have that say. It's their taxpayers, it's their money that's paying it. It's not our money, it's their money.
But Troy, what
And they
I'm,
have every right to have that say.
what
If
I'm
the town
saying
decides they
is-
don't want to pay it,
but you're not gonna get the whole town there. And what
Well-
happened last time is you got the ones that were upset about it, but the ones that were for it didn't really feel like they needed to come and voice their opinion.
we
3/4
need
of
to
the
get it
town
out that they do.
didn't show up.
Well, we need to get it out that they do.
You're not gonna get them at a meeting.
Because
You're just
actually they
not.
know it needs to be done.
I don't know how many people have said, I can't believe you have not done this yet.
Does it
I don't know how many people's also told me we're nuts. And I still ain't sure,
But why is
that we
every
can
other
actually
town
get paid
putting one
for it.
in?
with all the water wells that are going in and the usage droppage of the cities that's gonna occur, that's gonna make a huge difference in that study, the rate study that they've already done.
Yeah,
I can think of two people that had 160-some thousand gallons of water used last month, water in their lawn. They're having wells put in. It's a huge drop. We still have to pay for the total project on the amount of water that goes through it.
Yeah, but how many people aren't
You
drinking
can't
our
do
water
something that
now
if we can't
because
afford
it's
it.
not healthy? Who says we can't afford it?
Who says we can? That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Well, we had
We
a
keep
professional
having-
rate study done.
Yep.
Yeah.
You wanna have another rate study done since all the wells done, see how it changed?
How
It's gonna change
accurate-
drastically.
Yeah, how accurate is it that we did a rate study at $5 water?
No, they did the rate study with the increase.
I don't think.
Yes, they did.
Did they, Donna?
I don't think you understand what he's saying. You're talking about the usage of $5 water.
Right, I think the rate
Right.
study was done on that hot, dry year, which would have been
No,
a
it
year
was,
ago.
it was,
The hottest, most consumption we
but
could possibly get.
they used more than 1 year's,
Okay,
okay? But I understand what you're saying.
at $5.
Yeah, that's exactly
Isn't
right.
it correct to say that everybody would be conserving now at 1745?
You would think that they would, but they also they knew that that would happen. So they adjusted for that.
Right, they
Yeah.
adjusted.
Did they
but-
adjust
but it was-
enough? We
but-
don't know,
But it
you
wasn't
know,
in
I
a
mean-
rate study, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was in the rate study. They adjusted the rate study to reflect that people would be more conservative when
They did.
when the rate went up. Yeah, I mean, it's a common assumption. Now, did they adjust enough? I don't know. I mean,
I'm
it's
gonna
an,
guess
it's a,
50%. Well, that might be.
I have no idea what
75.
figures are gonna be.
but like Jim
25.
said, how
Then
many
they go-
people,
our usage was
we
only
have
up
lots of people that
25%
are using
because the
bottled
cost.
water now that
We
wouldn't
don't
be
see that
otherwise.
typically. Typically what we see is a 5 to 10% drop of use.
That's pretty conservative. I just don't want it to affect our income and being able to pay that loan. I think it's a huge oversight if it's an oversight.
Be really interesting to know how many people don't use our water because of the high nitrates. I don't. I don't use it to drink. We don't use it to cook with.
We don't either.
I mean, there's
I
a lot of
haven't died
people.
I use it.
That's fine.
But,
That's
yeah.
fine, but I'm saying, how many people are out there that aren't using it because of this? We don't know.
Regardless all of everything that has been said right now, the citizens of this community deserve to know what is right here. They deserve to hear it.
Well,
And we need
it's
to
not
tell
like we're
them.
keeping it from them.
I'm not saying that, but I'm
Well,
saying
We
we
need
need
to go
to
present it to them.
Go
present
for
it to
it.
them.
Do it.
We will.
Go for it.
I would ask that you do that as quickly as you can.
Yeah, I think it needs to be next week.
And
We're
I
gonna do it.
really, I have no problem with you doing that at all. And if you want to take a vote that night, that's fine, but please don't put this off to a public vote at some point in time. We don't have time to do that.
But 2 weeks would be the most.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I would like to see you do it next week if at all possible. But I
And
know-
have a decision by our next meeting.
Have a
Or
decision
vote
that
that
night.
night. It could be a special meeting.
Yeah, can't call it a special meeting. You know, we've been working on this for a year and a half now.
And it's been at this table longer than that.
I've never, ever had a town go through what you've gone through. I was at a town last night, Leota, doing exactly the same thing, almost exactly the same dollars. And they had a public hearing, one person showed up. And they voted to go with it. Goodland, there was a $5 million project. They didn't go, I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. I don't care. But I'm just saying, I have never seen this before.
So if you don't pass this, so what's your next step?
I don't know. Like I said, we need to get this in front of the public and then get their opinion on it. Like I said, it's their money, it's not ours.
A condensed version of what could happen, not saying it will. If your nitrate levels are continue going up, and you just say, okay, we can't afford it, we're not gonna do it. At some point in time out in the future, I don't know how long it will be, the federal government will come in, they will put in what you need to do, and you will pay for it. Right now, you're getting a 30% loan forgiveness. If that happens, you won't get anything.
I'm not saying this is bad, I'm just saying that people need to know it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's
Then
fine.
right,
That's
then
fine.
do it.
I mean, yeah.
We'll set up a meeting.
Okay.
But we can't lollygag around about it because we've got to make a decision by the next meeting or by next week.
So, what night, is everyone available?
Should we make a motion?
Yeah, but we better figure out what night everyone's
How
available.
many dollars would it take to send out 644 and do a poll?
Kevin,
Mailing.
now, come on.
You won't get them back in. That's the problem. It's not going to be a scientific poll it anyway.
We just did a poll here a while back on, with our.
We can't even get our low to moderate income people, you know, we can't get that survey in.
People don't even do their census thing. They throw it in the trash.
I think they might.
Huh?
They might take a look at this.
No, I don't think they will.
I don't,
But-
like I said, I don't see what the big deal is if we do.
Okay, answer my question. Is everyone available next week?
Not the 31st, I know that. Or the 30th, one of them.
And you're
I'm
saying
open.
available for next
For
year?
a special meeting.
Hearing.
Get this on the table.
Monday
Not a
night.
hearing, a special meeting to let the public know that what these figures are.
I only have Monday night and Friday night.
Well, that ain't even gonna give you enough time to let the people know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with the
I'm out of
fourth.
town for meetings. I can't help it.
Well, I'm just saying that ain't enough time to let people even know that what's gonna go on.
A regular meeting is the 4th.
We're not gonna wait till the regular meeting, Kevin. We don't have time. These bids are these bids.
It's
They
2
went.
weeks.
No,
Every bid, all bids are good for 30 days. I don't care who you are.
I would like the council to have a special meeting as soon as possible.
Well, I agree with that, but you still
So-
have to give the people time to be able to find out about it.
would be just fine.
Well, I think by word of mouth and by flyers, and I'm sure it will get out there.
What do you think, Bob?
Facebook,
I'm flexible, whatever. I want some time to study this a little bit.
what is there to study, Bobby?
I want to tear it apart, and I've got some people that wants to see it. All right.
So,
Somebody that's smarter than me.
so you don't trust the contractors?
I didn't say that. I just want to make sure we're getting the best buck for the dog, all the way through.
That's what he's
Yeah,
for.
yeah, Bobby, I don't care, it doesn't make any difference if somebody tears it apart, that's the bid, and that's the way it is. You know, it doesn't make any difference if you think that I could put pipe in for less money, or I could do this for less, this is what it is.
Or how many of these companies were there when you opened the bid?
All of them.
All of them?
I think all of them are, yeah.
And you guys knew that the bid opening was then.
Right. Did you let them know that day when the bids were?
Yes, it's a public
How do we know it
opening.
was? I didn't know anything about it.
It was announced at the last meeting.
I was gonna say, I swore we announced at the last meeting that the bids would be open. Mike?
I'm sorry, I wasn't at the last meeting.
Yeah, it's a public opening.
Mhm.
We sat down, at 2 o'clock, we opened part one, and we opened them all up. Everybody was handed a sheet, and you can write, and we opened each bid at that point in time and read them aloud, what they are. And at 2:30, then we opened up part two. And that's a typical bid opening.
And a representative for each company was there. Okay, so sometime next week? Tuesday night.
I don't think that's enough time.
Friday night.
I'll move to do it September 4th.
I'll second that.
Guys, that's the night of our meeting. We don't want to have a public hearing and a meeting, do we?
Why not?
I don't know.
Saves our time.
I will not be here on the 4th. Troy, you probably won't be here on the 4th either. It's a Tuesday.
Also, I got meetings in Salina on, it's either the 30th or the 31st. Other than that, I can do anything. I just don't think prior to that is going to be enough time to get the people.
If you do it on the
informed about it.
31st, it would get in the paper. That's a Friday night.
Well, it would still be in the paper, because this
home
week,
game?
right,
Terry
Terry?
wouldn't be able to have his paper till
Yeah.
Tuesday the
Is it a
28th.
home game?
No, he can get it in the paper this Friday.
Yeah, but it'll be coming out in the public thing, no paper Tuesday the 28th.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Officially the 20th.
So he can get it in the paper on the 24th, that's the deadline.
What if we did something like Friday at 5?
Or 5:15, so people have time to get.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the
Mhm.
31st?
I won't be here to cover it. Got opening football game at Otis Bison.
On the what, Terry, the 24th?
On the 31st. No, the 24th you can't because that paper's already done. Really bad.
What about the
Can you
3rd?
send somebody to cover it?
On that following, that Monday?
Labor Day, holiday. Everyone will be off. Well, if we can't even decide on a meeting for this,
Well, it looks like it's
we
gonna
can't
have to be the
decide on a
4th.
bid.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna have to be on the 4th.
We have a motion.
Well, Jill just said she's not gonna be here and that you're not gonna be here.
I don't know whether I am or not. I have no idea.
Okay, well, how are we gonna set a meeting?
We want you to be here.
I'll be there. Whatever. That's what we gotta do, then let's get it done.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be a regular meeting for all of us, and we vote on it.
I'll second his motion for the 4th.
We
Sorry,
already
just
did.
second.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
What is that happening Tuesday? Board of Education? Okay. On a Tuesday?
Yeah, because Labor Day's Monday.
Okay.
So if that's the soonest we can do it, that's a week away, so.
It's 2 weeks.
Well, it's, if we can't meet by the 31st, it's the following Tuesday. So, if that's the best we can do, that's the best we can do. That still only gets in the paper one time.
yeah, we don't need to gain anything there.
No.
Internet's available too.
Yeah.
What is?
Internet.
Yeah.
We'll put it on the website. Tomorrow.
Well, nobody will read the website. But we'll put it, we could put it on Facebook maybe?
Yeah.
St.
That's
John
what I
website.
said.
Yeah, and you can put it on the St. John.
Word will be
Facebook.
out, if we have a meeting Tuesday night, word will be out in plenty of time.
Okay, so what time do we wanna hold our regular meeting versus the public meeting? Can we move it up before 7?
6 o'clock.
Why? Can we, so we're not getting out of there at 11?
Oh, move your public meeting up to
6 o'clock.
6:30.
Move.
Have a regular meeting at 7.
You gonna be done with the public hearing in 30 minutes?
Yeah.
I kinda remember the last one not going real well.
Well,
And I remember nobody else speaking.
it gives you the
Exactly.
opportunity, so we give 30 minutes and the public meeting's over and we're going on to a regular meeting. 7
Well, that's
o'clock.
not right. If there's people at the public meeting that haven't spoke, what are you gonna do after 30 minutes?
I'm saying, they need their time.
That's what you're having this meeting for, so they can
Speak.
speak.
Yeah, she was wanting to switch it.
I wanted to
Well, no
start
kidding.
earlier.
That's fine, start at 6, an hour. That'll get us out 1 hour earlier, whether it was 11 o'clock or midnight or 1 o'clock, whatever. Gets us out 1 hour earlier.
On the 4th. All in favor say aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
Bobby, did you vote?
4th at 6 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay.
You guys send me something on kind of how you want it worded, I'll get it on the Facebook and the internet and stuff, if I can.
Is there anything that you want me to bring that you think might help anything?
Is there any way we can get anybody from the state to come down? I mean, as far as the citizens' eyes, I mean, I'm not trying to be a
I will
SOB, but your word of what can happen or don't happen don't mean squat to them.
Okay.
You're the contractor, you're the one making the money.
No, he's not the contractor.
He's the general contractor.
That's okay.
No,
I-
he's
I-
not.
He's the engineer.
He's the
It
engineer.
doesn't matter, he's making money off of it. They want to hear from somebody that is not making any money.
Above metal.
Jeez.
I got no problem. I'll ask, but right now the state has, they've cut so many people and are cut so budgets that I can't get those guys to do anything. I will try. I will put it like that, but I'm not going to make any guarantees.
Okay,
Maybe somebody.
if there is someone that would come out and visit, are you gonna pay the mileage?
Yeah, if that's what it takes, for me, I mean, to me,
Would you accept somebody from
for the city,
regional
I
water
mean, for the
office?
people.
They won't.
They
They're
want
not.
someone from the
This-
state.
No, they're not who.
So you're willing to
You
pay
want
their
to-
mileage
you
to
want
get them out here? Council?
Yeah.
Okay, I want someone to make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we pay mileage if that's what it takes to get them out
What
here.
about windshield time?
That's what it takes to get them out here, to actually go over what they,
They're,
if
yeah, they're gonna
the
come out.
citizens don't want to do it, or they do want to do it, and that way they can hear all the pros and they can hear all the cons.
They've only heard it for a year and a half.
Well, evidently they ain't listening very
Well,
well.
I think
They're
that's
gonna
part of
come
the
out,
problem.
they're gonna come out with our state report and say, well, you've been in compliance all year. Your last deal was,
But we've got a test coming up next month, and last year we failed it, so.
Okay, so, motion on the table, is there a second?
second.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say
No.
no. Okay,
Okay,
Right.
thank you. I will
Thanks,
see
Tom.
you the 4th.
okay.
Thanks, Norm.
And like I said, and if anybody has any comments or questions between now and then, feel free to call me. I will be glad to talk to anybody.
Maybe we should just post you out on the highway.
And please
put up
do,
an
he's being
information
honest
vehicle
with you,
square.
please do, if you have any questions or concerns, calling, or you wanting to bring information, please calling.
I'm trying to tell you everything that I can. I'm not
I'm
trying
not, I'm
to
not
hide
saying that
anything.
I'm not downgrading anything you're doing.
I understand.
There's only one person here that seems to think we're downgrading.
What's your best contact?
We're paying you for a job and we're just
620
asking you to do it.
672
Provide a little more.
1112. That's the office. Now, my cell is 450-8233. Now, I'll tell you, it doesn't work at home, so at nights and weekends, I turn my cell phone off. You want my home phone number, you can call me on a weekend. I have no problem with that. I will be glad to give you my home phone number.
Appreciate it.
298-2733. If you want to call me at home if an evening or a weekend, that's fine. Now, I feel like this is something that St. John needs to do for the health of its people. Not for me, not because anybody else wants or doesn't want it.
You're gonna get paid whether,
At this point in time, I'm going to get paid whether you do this or not. Yeah. It
And
makes-
we
I
haven't even begun to pay him enough for what he's had to go through with us. So,
You know, I've heard this numerous amount of times. Paid the $227,000 and saved the $3.2.
That's
Three and
ridiculous.
3.2 is a whole lot worse than 227,000.
But I really have one question. Why in the world, I do believe campaign time, you was going around town handing out flyers that you was going to do something about the nitrate situation. Am I right or am I wrong?
That's right.
You
But
are,
don't-
I
but
am
people-
right. So why are you dragging your feet?
I've got one vote, and I'm working for the people. And I have had numerous amount of people that is against this. I've got 4 people, and 2 of them sitting in this room that's talked to me that we really need this.
Yeah, we do.
I've
We
had
really
numerous
do.
people come up to me and say, I don't know why it's taken so long, just get it done. Just do it. You know,
That's
they're
all I
gonna talk,
remember, that
the
what
people
you
for it are gonna
campaigned
talk
for.
to me, the people against it are gonna talk to you. So, you know, I don't know how many people I've talked to that think that what we're doing is ridiculous.
I'm
That we
not
are
saying,
idiots in our
I'm not
field.
saying I'm for it or against it. I'm just saying that people need to see it.
Yeah, well,
To me, I'm really embarrassed, Don, because council can't make a decision. I'm sorry for, every time you come here, they can't make a decision, every time. So, I'm sorry, so,
Thank you.
thank you.
I just think it's unprofessional, and I think it gives our small town the hick name that we already have. You know, if we can't even handle this in a professional manner and in the way it's supposed to be handled, why are we even on council? That's what I want to know.
We're on this council to listen to the people.
You've stated that many,
Well,
many times. And
maybe
I'm
you
not
ought to get out and
No,
listen.
I'm not
Instead
disagreeing
of
with
being in a
you.
box. And I don't know what the heck the problem is about showing the people this and actually talking to them about it.
I don't have
Instead of getting pissed off every time one of them opposes your idea. That's their choice. They're taxpayers.
You know,
A lot of them are paying more taxes than any of us. We ought to listen to them. That's all I'm
you know
saying.
what? I'm one of them, Troy.
Well, then back off. We're gonna have a meeting, let the people hear about it and go on.
You need to back off.
No, I ain't.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. I don't mind letting the people know. They need to know. But here's
This
the
is not
problem.
getting us
Hey,
anywhere. Hold
hey,
on,
Mark,
this is not
that
getting
is
us
enough.
anywhere.
Zip it.
I have a right to speak just like anybody else.
But
And I'm gonna
it's
tell
not
you.
getting anywhere with anything. Let's just move
Quiet.
on.
Let me
Mark,
talk.
quiet.
Stop pointing at me.
Well, quit.
You know, we have discussed this and we have beat the horse until it's dead. We have done this for a year and a half. People know what we're talking about, and if they were that interested, they would be here.
And you two down on the end of the table have been discussing this a hell of a lot longer than the other 3 have. Bottom
You know,
line.
and I sat at that
It's
last
not gonna
public
get any
meeting,
better.
and I was berated and yelled at all night long. And I was the only one besides Jill, and maybe Troy spoke a little bit, that said anything to them, that answered any questions. So yeah, I felt pretty damn beat up after that last community meeting. So yeah, if I have the choice to have a community meeting, I'm going to choose not to, because the last one didn't go real well for me. But had I sat there and not answered any of the questions, maybe I would have had a little bit better experience, but I wouldn't have felt good about it because nobody's questions got answered. So, yeah, when it comes to having a community meeting, I know how those go. And only the ones that want to complain are the ones that show up. So yeah, there's my 2 bits.
Executive session.
I'd like to request a 10-minute executive session for non-elected personnel to include myself, Mayor, Don, and Jonah.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say no.
To the loan itself. We could do it either way. As of the end of statement of July 31st, the amount due is $405.20.
Do we have the money to pay that every month?
And then once the loan is complete, then, you know, it would all go into the set,
Well, it doesn't make sense to turn interest in principal.
And that's what we can use that CIP fund for. We have sitting there.
Well, like I said, it doesn't make any sense if we have the money to pay to turn interest in principal.
But I will need a motion.
Make a motion to pay it every month.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Thank you. Any questions for John on this? Thanks, John. Is there any questions for Don? Don, do you have anything? Is there any questions for Don?
Oh, the only thing I have, stated, well, there's a pending lawsuit which I'm gonna file a claim on. There's been a class action lawsuit out of St. Louis, I think. The makers of atrazine were sued in a class action lawsuit, and there was a huge trust fund that was funded. City of Ellenwood got $35,000 out of the fund. We got a notice to submit a claim, staff was to submit a claim. We don't have a lot of atrazine showing up in our water samples, but they said even if you didn't have one, there might be up to about $5,000 to $5,000 you didn't have otherwise. So I'm really just submitting some claims. So what we have to do is just like that. That's all.
Thanks, Don. New business, Stafford County trash rate increase. Got that in your packets.
This is what they have to do in order to get their rate.
Why is the
You have to
city
take
getting
a-
charged more than rural people? For like their dumpster rentals and fees?
I see that. Oh, I see that. Sorry.
I mean, the city's higher on everything. It's just that dollar city
Probably-
charge.
Yeah, probably. It's an
So
administrative.
they've had this dollar city charge the whole time.
That's the
That's the administrative
that's the
for us to
administrative
bill for.
portion that we add to it in order to send it out on the city bill. And that's the only money we make off of it. And that just helps complement. Part of that money comes out in the budget, it shows up, part of Donna's job, I think, is paid out of that budget.
Very little, but this is not much there. Yeah, I guess if they did all the billing, they would have to increase everybody's to cover their billing or whatever.
That was
Stafford
part
does
of
the same thing.
the original contract. The county's the one that made the original contract. The original contract with the county, that was part of the deal. The cities would bill for the trash collection service. And that was part of the original.
I'm just trying to figure out why the city, I mean, you would even think it'd be cheaper for the city,
Right.
not more expensive.
Well,
They're collecting a buku amount of money in a short amount of miles.
I don't know if they collect money weekly out in the county or not. I mean, that could be, they could collect that by weekly too. I don't know what their budget is.
Well, I would at least,
Every 2 weeks out there. So that's
I
part of
would
the
like to
reason.
think that they're comparing apples to apples here.
No, they're not. Because if they collect every 2 weeks in the county and they collect once a week in town, then that's where the difference comes.
Is there a way we can see a breakdown of that then?
That's not.
Ask them to get a breakdown on this, to know exactly what rural people are paying, what city people are paying.
Can, it's right there though. Owned by a customer. I'm sure rental fees, rural and city. How much
Well,
more
what
breakdown
I'm
do you
saying,
want?
well, he's telling me that they're charging this twice a month and they're only charging this once a month.
No, what he's saying is they're charging, they only pick up twice a month.
Yeah. They're not
In the
getting
rural, and they pick up every week, 4 times a month.
in the city.
Well, in the end of the dumpster, sometimes I think it depends on where it is.
Yeah.
They pick up twice a week. You know, like the grocery store here, they pick up at least twice.
Yeah, they charge you.
At the restaurant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They charge you.
Yes.
For
That
that. Every
kinda
other
makes
time they
sense.
come,
I
they
mean,
charge you.
if they're getting you 4 times a week in the city and they're just twice a week in the country, but they have more
Right.
fuel charges, so I guess that could make sense.
Are you happy with that?
Do we really need a motion?
Yeah.
To accept
To
their
accept them.
proposed?
8% is pretty high. And with their fuel surcharge and everything else that they're still not.
I don't think, it's been 5 or 6 years since they've gone up at all, though, as far as other than fuel
I thought it
charges.
was.
I don't think they've gone up for a while.
I can't remember.
Current fuel adjustment charge will remain in place as is.
He's had a fuel charge every
Right.
year. He's had
Yeah.
a fuel charge.
Yeah.
As far as the base monthly fee, I don't think they've gone up. I may be wrong, but I don't think they did.
Well, then, that's, this here, he's been charging $17.25 per month now. $13 plus a fuel surcharge.
Well,
I don't
that's
know.
if they took the fuel surcharge off, that's what it's gonna be.
That's city commercial.
It's legal rate, city.
Right. I don't know how they break that up.
Move to approve the trash rate increase.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Thanks, Kevin. More business, no information.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.